Woman, an in-depth exploration of the world of women today with Sandra Elkin.
Good evening and welcome to Woman. My guest this evening is playwright Myrna Lamb. Myrna began writing at age 7. She completed her first play when she was 8. At age 12, she finally had a play produced. Myrna is one of the few women playwrights to have received a Rockefeller grant, a Guggenheim Fellowship, and a current National Endowment grant. She is probably best known for her plays But What Have You Done For Me Lately and The Maud Donna. Myrna is currently working on a book for a Broadway musical with lyrics by Hal David and music by Michel Legrand. She is one of the best known and most produced female playwrights in America. Welcome to the show, Myrna.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Myrna, is there a new women's theater happening?
Yes. It's a new women's theater because women are not writing in the old male academic voice. They're not imitating, they're coming up with new voices. And they're writing what is essentially a new mythology. That is, I call it the view from the other side of the moon.
What are they writing about exactly?
Well, we're writing about the same subjects, the same human subjects, but we're writing about it from the point of view of an oppressed majority. And that means that we're writing about the position of woman as subject rather than object. Apparently, just that small change makes it very difficult for the established theater situation to accept it easily.
What do you think the conditions are that brought this about?
Well, obviously the women's movement. Of course, we'll have to predate that and go back and say that all the liberation and self-determination movements made the women's liberation movement inevitable, and made the, well, look at black theater now. Same thing, actually. Kind of vital and really exciting theater you're getting from black theater people is a reflection, I think, of the same kind of thing, of long suppressed feelings, long suppressed viewpoints that are finally emerging into the open.
Is there an organization, a formal organization of women playwrights?
Actually, there was once. No, not yet. I don't think there has to be. I wouldn't like to do anything so coercive to an artist as to make him or her join a formal organization.
Well, someone obviously thought it was a good idea because there was at one time, wasn't there?
There was a beginning of one. I can't even remember what it was called anymore, and it was just a few women, and they eventually joined with a larger group that included both men and women, and even that excluded some people. I mean, I don't think it's necessary to have organizations of artists.
Who are the women playwrights writing today?
Oh, there are so many.
It doesn't seem like there's so many.
Yes. There are J.E. Williams, Megan Terry, Rosalind Drexler, Rochelle Owens, Julie Bavasso, Dolores Walker, Susan Yankowitz. I mean, I'm just skimming the surface here. There are really so many.
Are there experiences like Lillian Hellman's experience, say?
I'm sure it's very different.
How do you think?
Well, there's the difference of being not unique. Women, anything lately, simply not in the position of the exceptional woman anymore. We're just one of the crowd, that's all. That's difficult. Because, as you know, women are socialized to believe that it's important to be exceptional and set apart from her fellow women, if that is not a contradiction in terms. And, of course, we're bonding today. That's different. We're doing things not in competition with one another, but in support of one another. Now, I don't say we're doing that successfully and universally, but at least we're hoping and aiming in that direction.
Do you think women in your field are discriminated against?
Oh, of course.
How?
Well, they're discriminated against because the theater establishment is a theater establishment that is dedicated to the old established mythology, which is to say that men are the movers and doers and women are the objects and prizes and so forth. It's easy to understand why the kind of proposition that women are extending in plays today would be almost offensive and certainly exotic to the theater establishment.
I'd like you to go into a little more detail, though, how a woman playwright is likely to be discriminated against.
Well, for some reason, although it will be, they will say, yes, for instance, what was said to me by the play service people, yes, we agree you have talent, but your plays are too, well, what they said to me was too political and too narrow in scope. And by political, they meant because I was writing about the women's movement at that time from a particular point of view. And finally, they'll say, yes, but there's too small an audience. Yes, but somehow I don't relate to this material. Things like that.
Do you have a fantasy about how you would like to be treated as a female playwright?
Yeah, I've always had a fantasy about it. Forget it. What happened to me, actually, is when I had Donna produced, which was this giant coup by Joe Papp, who also directed it, is I found myself sent to Coventry, which is to say, when I would enter a dressing room, 11 women whom I'd given good jobs, you know, in the production would not talk to me. I asked one of the women about it, and she said she had to deal with me every day in my GD play. She didn't like what I was saying. It was 1970, and the women's movement was difficult.
What kind of reaction did you get from Donna?
I got very what they call polarized reviews. Some of them really wanted me to die. They wanted the public theater to be closed. So help me. Channel, oh, I won't say the channel. A public service channel had a reviewer who said that the public theater should be closed for having produced it. Other people said women should not have the vote anymore. And then some people said Clive Barnes liked it a lot, Time magazine, Newsweek, etc. So I did all right.
Are the women in Donna you?
I suppose, but the women in Donna, yeah, fragments of me.
Tell me a little bit about Donna.
Well, according to one of the reviewers who really hated it, it was against marriage and motherhood and all sorts of good things. And he said, "I'd never used one cliche where two would do." That rankled. I didn't see how a play could be all those things. But it was a soap opera, a macabre and very decadent soap opera. And the storyline would continue, interrupted by feminist commercials. And it was fairly exciting. And of course it was musical.
What year?
1970. I wrote it in 69.
That was after you wrote What Have You Done For Me Lately?
Yes, yes, as a matter of fact, after.
What Have You Done For Me Lately about?
But what have you done for me lately?
But what have you done?
That's all right. And no one remembers the but. It's about a woman who has a motive for wishing to take revenge upon a man who has made her pregnant in the old-fashioned way when she is young. And so her revenge is that she becomes a super surgeon and she impregnates him surgically at a rather important time of his career. He is a legislator. Some people have thought he bore a slight resemblance to a now not current president, but it was, after all, any grandiose and arrogant lawmaker would have done.
Are you a rich playwright?
I am a poor playwright, but I'm rich in hope.
Do most playwrights now, both male and female, have to exist pretty much on grants?
Yes, most playwrights do. It's very difficult for playwrights to exist at all. I don't see why they do, except that they can't do anything else. They're incompetent at all other fields.
Do women playwrights have more trouble getting grants than male playwrights?
Yes,
do you think
of course. Of course. It's a 10-to-1 shot.
You're talking about when you got your Guggenheim, right?
Well, when I had my Guggenheim, which I was very grateful to have, I must say, it kept me in New York. There were 9 or 10 male playwrights and 1 woman playwright, and that's the case this year too. And that goes for composers and for creative writers of all sorts.
You said that Donna grew out of something you'd felt all your life. What might that have been?
Well, the way people use marriage, the whole institution of marriage, the fact that people like institutions, the whole power game, the fact that people in power need a place to divest themselves of that power, and the way people use children in marriage, particularly. A young woman comes into an established and decadent marriage. When she comes in as a child. Of course, once her charm is worn off, as the charm of many children do, she has to be replaced by her child.
You were married when you were 17?
A child, yes.
And you once said that about your own marriage, that you got married to see if you could cure your own restlessness or something like that?
I don't know if, yes, something like that, but I also got married because this person really liked me and accepted me and also took me to restaurants, and I was very hungry.
That's an incredible thing.
Well, it was true. I was hungry for love, security, and food.
Do you think marriage is no longer viable? Or you have very strong feelings that you express in Ma,
I
Donna,
do
about marriage.
indeed feel
And
that
most of them are
marriage
negative.
is not viable.
For you or for anyone?
I feel that in incredible circumstances it may be viable, but really, I think those incredible circumstances, and certainly people ought to be allowed to be married, however the marriage turns out. I just think it's silly, that's all, silly, to bottle two people up and say what they must do and must not do with each other.
You also once said that you feel you never should have succeeded.
Well, no woman should succeed. She's not supposed to. She's not supposed to succeed, and she's not supposed to be sexual, and she's not supposed to want money on her own hook. But some women do.
Do you think women have trouble with success?
I think women have trouble with daddy. Having trouble with daddy, they have trouble with success. You see, there are prohibitions instilled in women from the beginning. I think in men too, but in women definitely. They are not supposed to succeed because it is not fitting. The only way they're supposed to succeed is through a man whom they have helped succeed. And a woman is afraid to divest herself of the only security she has, which is to say, the security of being feminine or female.
Well, you're very successful, and
I'm really not very successful, but I'm successful.
all right, did you have trouble saying to yourself, all right, I've had Ma, Donna produced, and...
I almost had a heart attack knowing that I was going to be produced, finally. I was very, I thought I was going to die. It came so late in my life, really. It was a second life. And every time I'm going to succeed at anything, and every time I become ambitious, I think, by the way, I'm not crying, my eye simply has makeup in it or something. What happens to me is I think, well, this time I'm going to die. I can't even take a plane any place because I think they're out to get me, and I try to make myself unavailable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Do you think anyone can write?
I think everyone can write, but we won't tell anyone that.
Why won't we tell anyone?
Well, there are enough writers, and the competition is pretty fierce, and as much as I extol bonding, I'm still quite competitive, and I kind of want to be, if not the only one of the few. That's one of my problems. I try to get over that.
But you do. I know that you have, in fact, helped other women.
I have, in fact, helped other women because I transcend my own competitiveness. Isn't that saintly of me?
It's marvelous.
What did you think of Ma, Donna? You told me you liked it.
I liked Ma, Donna very much. I thought it was a terrific play.
That made me happy when you said that.
I'm glad.
I thought it was a terrific play myself. Probably will never be done again.
Oh, I'm sure it will. That reminds me of a thing that you told me that you were very upset about, and that is royalties.
Oh, yes, very upset over royalties. Because what happens is, since I'm a woman playwright and a women's liberationist, I'm considered a people's playwright. That's very nice. But what happens is I meet people constantly who say, I saw a terrific production in Saskatchewan, in Nova Scotia, in Ottawa, in I don't know where, Washington and the state of Washington, Oregon, San Francisco, Italy, whatever. And very few of those times do I ever even know about it, and very few of those times do I ever get paid, even a token payment, which is cruel because it took me 3 years to establish my credibility with the play service people, and they were right. They were right. Nobody pays to do my plays. They do them, but they don't pay for it.
Is this something that all playwrights have problems with, or
Well,
do you think women have more trouble?
I think women are not very credible as playwrights. Yet. They're not credible yet. I'm one of those pioneers. I'm going to make it credible.
Will you always write about women, do you think?
I will write about women and men. That's about it. I'm not much for animals.
But primarily, though, really, you are a feminist playwright.
I think so. I'm a female with a certain kind of experience which has made me a feminist. But I'm a humanist, and I think that would include feminism. Don't you?
Yes, I do. There's a thing that's happening in the theater now. It's called Theater of the Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of camp theater.
Right.
And lots of women are made angry by this.
Yes. Do you know why?
Well, I was going to ask you why, and then ask you what you thought.
Well, they shouldn't be so damned angry about it. You see, the role of women in our society has always been a camp role. I mean, we're all transvestites. We're all in drag. Truly. I mean, all the way we used to dress, the way we carried ourselves, the roles in our life, you know, the things we could do and couldn't do, that's all camp. And all that's happening is that our former roles, the ones that were so precious to us, are being travestied and caricatured now. So what? That's not us up there. And why shouldn't it become theatrical? It always was.
Where do you think the need comes from to do that kind of thing, though?
Well, everybody's got problems with sex roles. And men who want to do that kind of theater have problems with sex roles, including ours. I say let them have a go at it. I don't want to do it.
You now have a National Endowment grant to do a play called Ignatz.
Ignatz, right. That's a man.
And it's music theater.
Music theater.
Which is what?
Which is where the opera and the musical will meet in America 5 years hence, according to a woman named Stephanie Copeland who works for Stuart Ostrow.
Can you be a little more specific about Ignatz?
Ignatz is about a man who makes a tremendous life-saving discovery of, he was a real person, of great importance to women, as a matter of fact, and he's hated for it, attacked for it, virtually crucified for it. Nothing new.
One of the things that you said that you wanted to talk about also was mean women.
Yes, there are some. There are some. Well, what I believe about women, and you know I write about this a lot, is that women do ritually oppress other women because they are programmed to do that, because they cannot bear others to escape their private misery, and because in a way sometimes even mothers program their daughters for lives that they think will be safe, even though oppressive. And so this role is handed down from mother to daughter. And of course there are the women who believe, since they have given up one role in life, that is perhaps wife and mother, that they alone deserve careers, and other women who dare to come, women like me, after lives in which they have been married and have children, who dare to come and to achieve success in their field, in their professional field, these women should be punished for such effrontery.
That's coming from somewhere. Where is that coming from?
It's coming from somewhere. Yes, it is. It's coming from my experience, from experience that I've had with women like this.
Which was when you were first beginning to write?
Oh, yes, indeed. When other playwrights would say, well, one woman that I asked about that organization you talked about, I said, I was supposed to be invited into that, and she said, when you learn to write the way we do, then you will be. Things like that. And situations where I've had deals going, where a woman will simply gratuitously sit there and just spoil the deal when she sees it's going. I've seen that happen over and over again, admittedly with only a few women. And admittedly, I will not sit, down to lunch with those women again. I don't think men do that to each other, but I'm not sure.
Donna was produced by Joseph Papp.
Yes,
who
it
was. A
was.
man.
He's a man.
And that was a marvelous experience for you. You once said, I'm in love with Joe Papp.
Yeah, I was in love with Joe Papp. He's very charming. I think we've both recovered from that experience. But I still respect him. He's a terrific theater person, and he's producing other things of mine.
You've also written another piece called Apple Pie with Nicholas Myers.
Yeah.
I'd like you to tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that's about incorporated fascism, which is to say what I call physical fascism, the way we judge people not only by color, sex, and all the rest of it, but by the shape of the nose and the height and the color of the hair and so forth, the way we use this against each other. I think it was an export, a very well taken up export of Nazi Germany, and I get that in there a little bit too.
Myrna, what do you think about certain critics, who shall remain nameless, who claim that the new women's theater is angry,
strident,
bitter, vulgar?
Oh.
How do you answer that?
I think perhaps it is sometimes. So what? Men's theater has been that too. When the occasion demands, I assume the response will be sometimes vulgar, sometimes strident, sometimes bitter. It's a necessary transition. But, of course, that's, like all generalities, it falls when confronted with the individual example.
Well, why do you think it's taken? I mean, even though, as you say, some of the subjects are exactly the same.
I think women don't want to see sometimes women do the things that they have not done. That's the terrible thing, that sometimes women look at their lives and say, oh, if I'd only been a little braver, I could have done that. And that's a terrible thing, you know. The saddest words are, it might have been. It's very sad.
Do you have a hard time dealing with critics? You read your reviews?
I love critics when they say good things about me. When they call me Playwright Lamb, I could hug and kiss them.
Why?
I like to be called Playwright Lamb. That seems right to me somehow.
Have you ever had a really traumatic experience with a critic?
Oh, yes, I almost suffocated. My first review was the one that had all the naughty words that said, kill, kill, don't let this woman live. And I was left completely alone. No one sits up with you when you get a review like that. They let you go home all by yourself. And iron bands formed across my chest, and I thought I was suffocating. And who saved me in the morning? Clive Barnes.
I suppose if you're going to be saved,
yes.
you might as well be saved by Clive Barnes.
It's a bad experience to get your first review really condemning you to death.
And other women playwright friends didn't rally around?
Listen, no, there were no other women playwrights then. Do you know the guy who gave me that bad review? People can't be mean to me because I think I'm sort of a witch. This guy no longer is on television. He does radio now.
I guess I'll probably be very nice to you for the rest of this program.
I don't think he has to bother. Oh, you'll be nice to me. I thought you were talking about him.
No.
No, you don't have to worry.
I have a quote that I want to ask you about. You said, when women are frustrated by society, when they cannot fulfill their creative potential, they end up victims or killers.
Yeah, a little of both. Well, that's just something I believe, because I think, you know, the only power they have is in that family area, that domestic area, or some other equally circumscribed area. And that frustrated and perverted power becomes very dangerous. It's what makes our monsters.
What could change to make that not happen?
A little ventilation, a little opportunity for women.
All right, you're in New York,
yes,
and almost everyone else that you mentioned before, Megan Terry, Rosalind Drexler, Susan Yankowitz, all of those people are in New York.
I'd like to mention a terrific female producer named Adela Holzer, who could probably write Rings Around Us too, who's producing that Broadway thing I'm involved in.
But she's also in New York.
Yes, she is.
What about all the women who aren't in New York? Where did they go? What do they do?
Well, the truth is that Megan is really in Omaha. She comes to New York when she has to.
All right, she's one person out of that whole list.
Well, New York has been a theater center. What can you do about a theater center that has existed? How are you going to change it? I think we're being sent out to other theaters throughout the country now, under the terms of the Rockefeller grants particularly, and that will change. They're always looking for decentralization of the theater. Theater Development Fund in New York is trying to encourage that. Eventually, when playwrights find places where they'll be accepted, some of them will be black and some of them will be women. There is a white theater, but it is a white male theater. It does exclude, I think, in the main, female playwrights, for those, not deliberately.
All right. There are lots of women who want desperately to write.
Yes.
And I feel for them.
So do I.
And I wish you could say something.
It isn't as corny as it may sound if I say that the only way a woman can write is to actually write. That is, don't do it after the dishes, do it before the dishes. Do it when you feel it, when you think of it. Have something close by that you can use to jot down those sudden thoughts that you have. You build up, you accumulate what I call the clay, from which you will model, from which you will take your form later. Now, I can't say what that form will be, but you must record. Don't trust to memory. And you build up the habit of writing.
How do you know what form?
You don't have to care about what form, because very often work will find its own form, or you, my friends, my women friends, will create a new form that is appropriate.
I think people who write are always curious about what other people who write do, how they do it.
I think it's
describe for me a sort of a typical Myrna Lamb writing day.
Writing day? Well, first of all, I'm always in a hurry. I have millions of pieces of paper surrounding me. I write on them in different color ink, and I number them, and nothing helps. I can never find what I'm looking for. I go crazy because the one piece of paper with the one word that I'm looking for is under the bed or something. And I smear these papers all over wherever I am, so don't come and visit me when I'm doing this. I'm probably not dressed. I'm certainly not made up. If there's food, it may be sitting anywhere. I don't have a normal day. I don't know when it's nighttime or when it's daytime. And I don't like the telephone very much at those times either. But I am compulsive about answering them. So don't call me up when I'm writing. And I think that sort of explains what a writing day is like for me.
What did it feel like when the minute you knew that Ma Donna was going to be produced? Did you just flip?
You don't know. It was the end for me. The end. Literally the end. Not even vernacular. I thought, well, now I can die. I didn't, though. Luckily, it was not a perfect experience, and I was spared for the next imperfect experience. That's how you manage to survive.
You have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
Which makes you a little bit different. In
Yeah.
the sense that most of the women who are playwrights in New York at the moment don't have children.
Yeah. Rosalind Drexler has a couple, I think. She's the exception.
What are your children like?
They're terrific. Oh, are they terrific? One of them is a satirical cartoonist illustrator, and one of them is in the theater. I should mention her. Joey is the artist, and Elizabeth is the actress, singer, dancer, hard worker.
You think Elizabeth's going to be famous one day?
Yes, I know she is. She works harder than any 10 people I've ever seen. She is very single-minded, I think is the word.
Myrna, do you have something that you most disagree with that's happening in the theater today?
Oh, yes. I most disagree with, and this is really true, I disagree with the fact that we aren't subsidized as playwrights, and I mean all playwrights, male, female, and whatever, that we aren't given a way to live and not to worry about money for, depending, of course, on our production, outcome, output, and so forth. I think artists should be supported in this country, and they are not. I think artists should be honored in this country, and they are not. Have you ever heard my definition of an artist?
No.
It's a female position. A female artist is a double artist. I mean, a double female, sorry.
Myrna, on that note,
Yes.
I'd like to thank you
Slightly
very
askew.
much for coming.
Well, you're
Thank you
welcome.
for watching. See you next week.
Production funding provided by public television stations, the Ford Foundation, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.